Okay, so apart from this cylinder here, everything is pretty much as it was in the last tutorial. We are going to have a look at how we can control the camera and get the ball moving now, just at a basic level. So the first thing, we're not quite going onto programming yet. Firstly, remember that what I do here is really very basic, and what we want to do is encourage you to explore some of the options yourself. So don't worry if you want to change some of the stuff that I'm setting up. This is absolutely what it's for. The first thing is, notice that outside of my level at the moment I've got only these objects, these material objects. Everything else is within this level. So if I shrink that down, it makes it a bit easier for us to find things. Now what we want to do is we want to make a camera. I'm making the camera first of all so that when I hit the play button, we will follow the ball when it moves. When I make the balls start moving, it's quite easy to then lose where the ball has gone and to not be able to see what's going on. So I've gone down to world, and I'm getting my camera controller, and I'm going to drag that into this space here, which is outside our level, because I could use it again and again in all my different levels. I'm going to call it cam1, and we're going to change it. I'm just going to make this wider so that I can see the options. So I'm going to change the option there to hover. Again, this is just because I've done some experimenting and I know what's roughly going to work for us. We don't need to worry about the character height, depth, or anything like that, because we're not going to collide into it. And that is that's the camera size, if you like. That's how big the camera is in the scene. The collision we don't need to worry about, but we do need to look at object. We want it to look at player one. We want it to always look at player one and keep it in its scene. We also want to set a distance up. Now, from experimentation, I know that I quite like the distance of about 120, that kind of size. We could play around with some of the other things, fly mode, angle and stuff. In fact, I could stick on some dampening, so let's and some stiffness. That will just help it a little bit in terms of the kind of motion that we're going to get in from the camera. So if I click play now, we should get the camera should whiz around the object and settle quite nicely looking at it. So you can see the distance I've chosen is quite nice there. We can still see some of the surrounding environment, but we've got the player is quite a nice size in the middle of the camera view. Okay, so that's the camera setup. So now I want to set up the ball so it doesn't just float in the air, but it's going to go and bounce off some of the stuff that's down in our scene, and maybe move around a little bit depending on what's set up. So I'm going to need to press this plus sign to get this back, and let's just have a look at one of these planes. So if I scroll down inside this the properties for the plane, I'll get down to a space where we start to talk about collisions and such like. There we go. So what I'm looking for is I'm going to go down below the axis collision and polygon collision. I want to go, you can see that collision here is on 1 and collision is static here. Now that's good. So objects in my scene that I don't want to move around, I want to be static, and objects that I do want to be able to moved around, I want to change that to 0. And there's some other options we can look at. So I'm going to go and find my sphere. Easiest way to select it is inside here. We'll check it's just named. Yeah, it is named player 1, and I'm going to go down. So you can see here that static is on 1 at the moment. So if I switch that off, that will now fall without doing anything else. I'm going to put the mass on to let's say I like it quite heavy feeling, so it doesn't bounce much. Let's put the friction up to 100, and we'll see what that does. And then further down we could put the gravity on 9.8, and we can start from there. So this should start working now. I did switch off the static, so it should start working now. Let's give it a go. Hit play, see what happens. Oh, hello. So my gravity is in reverse. So if instead of 9.8, it needs to be minus 9.8. That should be a simple fix. Let's give that a go. There we go. So it's hit the floor and it's slowly starting to roll. It's quite nice. You can see it moving around as the polygon ball shifts around the corner of the object, bounces off the wall. Perfect. All right, so we're going to leave this video here. Click stop again. I'll just hit save so that we don't lose our progress. And then in the next one, we'll have a look at starting to get the ball moving around, I think.